Just let her eat. I mean, to tell you, this thing is a blast to fly. Power completely out. We're going to slow her down. Throwing the air brakes out from right there. Get that nose up, establish glide, and here we go. You're going to see her want to turn into the wind right now. But the Alpha is possible, easily. Pilots, welcome to Motion RC, and today is an exciting day. We have an all-new F-16 here in the Aggressor paint job. This is modeled after the real aircraft of the 57th Fighter Wing out of Las Vegas, Nevada. So very cool aircraft in real life, but without too much talking, we're going to get this out to the field, take it for a flight. After we get done, we'll meet back up and we'll go over all the new features of this aircraft. Let's do it! All right, pilots, taking off. The new F-16 V2. Here we go, turn and burn, baby. Add just a touch of back pressure, and she comes off beautifully. Man, I love this plane. She isn't lacking in power, let's put it that way. Nope, not at all. Woo! Get a little alpha going. She does it, and she does it deep. I love it. Pull her up, turn her into the wind. We got a little bit of a crosswind right now. From right there, though, no power. Using the, adding the power back. And with the wind down the runway, this thing does something beautiful, Alpha. Pull her up, let that tail slide into a nice barrel roll. Pull her over the top. Fly her like a falcon should be. Just let her eat. I mean, to tell you, this thing is a blast to fly. Power completely out. We're going to slow her down. Throwing the air brakes out from right there. Get that nose up, establish glide, and here we go. You're going to see her want to turn into the wind right now. But the Alpha is possible, easily. The old one always struggled with that just because of the weight. With that new motor, everything is just a rock solid with this. Pulse. They like to jump out here at Lark. If you don't make your passes right over the runway that low. Man, it's rock solid though. Absolutely rock solid. All right, we're going to set up for a gear pass on the next one. Feel like we're pretty close to our timer. We are. We got 25 seconds left. We're going to try and put the gear out right in front of us. Let's get the aircraft slow. Got the speed brakes out. We're going to try and do this in an Alpha if at all possible so you can see those wheels come out. Nice and slow right now. And gear. There's the doors, and there come the wheels. Power coming back in. I'm going to go speed brakes back in so we're not eating all the power up. Ooh, had a little gust of wind catch me for a second there. Here we go. We're gonna set up for a nice long approach. We do have a direct crosswind right now. Air brakes are open. We're gonna fly it in under power. F-16s wanna land with power. So you set up your glide slope and add power. Beauty. Full reverse. Beautiful, beautiful. And we'll taxi her back. All right, pilots, that was an awesome flight of the new F-16 V2. Now, we've decided to come back to the shop today to wrap this video up because I really want to go over a lot of the changes on the aircraft and kind of show you around it. Now, before we get going, I know a lot of guys want to know the battery report from that flight, and I can say over a day of flying it, we've been coming down right at about the same throughout the flight, but I landed that one at 40% or 382 a cell. So a very good, respectable flight time on this. I've been setting my timer to 3 minutes. When I feel the buzz, I come in and land, and that's been good. You might set it to 2.5 for your first couple flights, just to give you that extra go-around time in case you need it. The other thing I highly recommend on your first flights is fly it without the ordnance. Yes, the airplane flies with the ordnance. We have shots of it in the air with the ordnance on it, but it's a lot of drag under this aircraft. And for your first flights, until you get the aircraft kind of dialed in and you've done your trim flight and everything, go on and leave all the ordnance off it. It's gonna make you fly a lot better. It's gonna penetrate the wind a lot better. And like I said, it's a lot of drag underneath the airplane. So anytime you take the power off, it's gonna slow down really quickly with that. If you're not ready for it, it can be something that's kind of a challenge for a lot of guys. So let's start getting into some of the actual changes from version 1 to version 2. And the fun thing is I have a version 1 aircraft here, so we can actually show you in real time with it. So the first thing we're gonna go over is the leading edge extensions up here on the cockpit. You can see that plastic detail that has been added all the way up on the front of this aircraft now, really helping to protect from damage and dings when you're in the car. As you can see on the version 1, this one's about 3 years old. It's been dinged, it's been donged around in the car, whereas this one will not get those same damages. The next big change we're gonna go over is the wing attachment point. Now on the version 1, it had 2 screws that went in from the bottom, and then you had 2 wires on the inside, one for the LED and one for the servo, that would actually connect it to the fuselage. Well, they've done away with that now, and you have a piece of plastic that goes down the entire section of the wing where it joins at. So this part's not gonna get dinged up. It's gonna stay looking good over a long period of time where you're putting that in and out. And you also have the fast connects, same as like the Panther and the B-25, where you pinch the connectors in, and you can release the wings, and then when you push them on, they just snap in. Really a clean setup, really helps to make it very easy to plug this in and out at the field and take the wings on and off. So the next thing we'll talk about now, I want you to know this entire fuselage is completely different from the version 1. And until we started getting into this, I don't know if you can tell because they look very similar, but they are completely different. You have cheater holes now on the top of the back of the fuselage. These are plastic, but they still have all the mold lines and things in it, so they're actually pretty hard to see them until they're actually functioning, which is really cool how they hid that in there. You also now have rivet detail all over the fuselage. So on the version 1, it was completely flat with just the panels, but now you actually have the rivets added on top of the panels that really add that scale detail to the model. Same thing as we go out to the wing, you're gonna notice that the wing now is also a completely different mold. So the parts are not interchangeable, but as you can see, they have added all the scale rivet detail to the top and the bottom of the wing out here that really add that nice little touch compared to the old version. While we're on the wing panel, let's talk about the lighting package. So this has the most up-to-date day bright LED package that can be coming in any of these Freewing models. You will see there's a difference in the shape. The light also is all the top and the bottom now, to really make these things stand out. If you compare these to the older version, the old ones were good, but they were kind of like a square shape. They didn't really put off near as much light as these did, which is a nice update. Keeping with our lighting theme, if we head up to the cockpit from the old version, you now have a heads-up display that actually lights up in the cockpit. And the way they got away from not having any wires in there now is by having those 2 pins that come up in the back and hit on those brass plates that allow that power to flow through there. Very cool to see that added to this model. Now, along with that change to the canopy, you'll also notice that the canopy has plastic all the way around it to keep it looking good and not getting dented. If you look at my old original version where you've taken the canopy on and off and on and off and putting the batteries in, that starts to kind of get beat up around there. And this is going to keep that from happening now whenever you have your new version. Now, I will say the canopies do not fit from version 1 to version 2. It is actually a completely different mold, once again, that gives it a completely different shape, and that was to make it easier for our customers that are going to run 8S on this aircraft. You can actually fit 8S packs up in the front of it. The older version was pretty tight in the battery bay, and that was to accommodate more of a CG range with larger packs into this new aircraft. Continuing on forward, you can actually tell the nose cone is also a little bit different from the original version. The old one was kind of like a fiberglass cladded nose cone. Looked really good, but it didn't have all the little details that we are used to in our newer Freewing model. So now the new one still has the plastic cladding up on the front. You have a removable pitot tube, and you have the actual sensors now on there, and the mold lines on the nose cone also that really add that nice little scale fidelity up there. Since we're still up here on the front, let's start talking about the actual air inlet. If you look at the original version of the aircraft, it didn't have that little stick that goes in the inlet. The actual airplane has that little piece that goes in there, and they did add that now on this new version. So as we move back on the aircraft, let's actually talk about the ordnance rails on this version. So customers that had the old version would know the drop tanks actually mounted with magnets, which they could depart the aircraft sometimes on rather unsuccessful landings, put that as nicely as we can. Whereas now we have this new missile rail system that is made just for larger ordnance like this. This has come in a couple of our other aircraft before this, and it's been really well received. So it's nice to see it make it to the F-16. Then you have your standard missile rails on the way out. So you have your 2 inboard missiles and then your outboard missile that goes actually on the rail itself. You can fly with all of these on or off. It's up to your choice. You can mix and match. All I tell you is make sure your CG is correct for all of those. Now, speaking of CG, there is a CG mark made onto the wing on the new aircraft. It is a great jumping off point if you want to fly scale aerobatics. So rolls, loops, nice landings. It penetrates the wind really well. I recommend you start right there. It's a great place to maiden the aircraft. It feels comfortable. But as I have flown this, I have come about ½ an inch behind that mark. Now, full disclosure, I've been flying with a gyro that helps with tail heavy aircraft. So, you know, if you're not flying with a gyro, I definitely don't recommend pushing it back that far. And I highly recommend you start on the CG mark on the wing for your first flights to be successful. The aircraft flies great there. We know a lot of customers like to come back from there, and that's kind of where I'm at. All right, as we move back on the aircraft, it also now has functioning air brakes. Now, they're not a huge difference in flight. I will tell you they help slow the aircraft down, but it's not like you're gonna throw them out and the plane's gonna stop instantly. They just provide a little bit of extra drag to slow the aircraft down. I've been landing with them open to no adverse effects. It really does feel good with them open, and it looks really cool to have that actual scale feature of an F-16 on here now. On the original version, these were just a piece of foam that glued onto the back. So it's nice also because that adds a little bit more strength to the back of the aircraft. You know, you end up picking it up a lot around here. And on the old one, you could knock these off pretty easily. No chance of it now. They're a big hunk of plastic back there, so you're not going to knock those off. As we go up to the tail from there, you'll actually notice that the tail got the same treatment as the fuselage and the wing. So it is actually a new mold because now it also has the rivet detail all over it. You also have the very bright LEDs that are mounted on here, one strobe at the top and a solid white light at the back that really adds to the scale fidelity of the model. All right, now we're gonna move our way down to the landing gear. Now what you'll notice that's the biggest change on the landing gear from the original version is they now come pre-painted right out of the box. This really cleans up the bottom of the aircraft. You know, all military planes have these white aircraft landing gear for the reason of if there's a leak, they can see it really quick. So that's why they actually paint them that color. And it's pretty cool now. They used to just be bare aluminum in the original version, and now you have that painted strut on the bottom. The other cool thing is on the doors, you'll notice they actually added a magnet to each of the door. Now, the reason they did that is so when they close, the wind can't pull them back open. It really makes a nice positive click when they close and then they pop open, where you're not gonna have that wind resistance popping them open in flight. Pretty cool. So the other cool thing that's gonna be coming out with the version 2 F-16 is a cockpit upgrade package. Now, I haven't installed it yet because for all of our original media, I wanna show you the aircraft as it comes out of the box. Now, I will be installing this and doing a separate video on exactly how to use this. That'll be coming in the future, but I wanted to let y'all know that that kit is gonna be available for order as a separate component. All right, so there's also this portion of the aft section of the fuselage that has the tail cone on it. The cool thing, if you go back and watch our assembly video, you can actually see this, is the tail cone actually snaps on right now with a screw at the bottom and the top. So if you were to damage this, you can now take it off and replace it. The older version, it just glued on, so that's kind of nice. They're trying to make these as modular as they can, so repairs are gonna be as easy as they can be for you. So now you have the two elevator halves can be replaced. The back section of the fuselage can be replaced. Your tail unscrews with 4 screws. Each wing is sold separately. You have a nose cone. You know, there's a lot of different components around this airplane that can be replaced if you were to damage anything while you're flying. Well guys, this is the all-new version 2 F-16. I'm super excited for y'all to start getting these in your hands because this is a blast to fly. I know the older version has been one of our most popular aircraft of all time, and it's so nice to see this new version out for everybody to get. Remember guys, whether it's air, land, or sea, you can get it right here at Motion RC. And until next time, we'll see you in the next video. Bye guys.